Okay, everyone. In this tutorial, we're going to go through several steps of recording your own dialogue, converting it to the preferred wave format, .wave format, importing it to the Adobe Animate timeline, and setting up your file to animate your dialogue. And we're getting into dialogue animation. But the first thing I'm going to want to do is I have my my file, and basically I just recorded myself saying a silly line. Does anyone remember how this thing works? That's the line I'm doing. I'm not talking about my computer. So what I did was, it's not everybody has access to really like high cost audio software or something. So basically there's a lot of online sites. If you just Google MP3 to wave, you'll get one of the many free converters online. So basically what I'd like to do is, I found one online. Link is at the top of the screen, audio.online-convert.com. So I'm going to go ahead and take my file and drag it into the provided window. And there it is. Everything looks good. Start conversion. And conversion complete. And it just automatically started downloading for me.
Does anyone remember how this thing works? Well, I don't. I think.
So it automatically, here's my great line, my wonderful acting. So basically now it automatically opened up iTunes, but we don't need our iTunes. That's, for those of you non-Mac users, that's the built-in software. So let's go ahead. And first, let's get it out of downloads. Put it in my folder. Boom. Sounds good. So one of the things I wanted to review real quick is Flash. See, I'm going to call it Flash because I'm a dinosaur, but it's actually Adobe Animate. Let's go ahead and open up a new Adobe Animate document. I like to work in the industry standard, HT standard of 1920 by 1080. Also industry standard, 24 frames per second. And let's go ahead and hit create. And there is our familiar interface. Those of you, anyone that knows me, or even if you don't know me, everybody should be doing this really. You should work in the classic interface. It's just like, in my opinion, but it's just a better interface and doesn't look like garbage. So here we have our timeline, this row of piano keys at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and name the layer audio because we want to be as specific as possible. We have our stage here because you're the star. Your animated characters are the stars and they animate on the stage. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on the first frame and import to stage. And we just navigate over to where the sound that we just created. There it is, .wave. Hit open. And you're only going to see one frame of it. So basically with Adobe Animate, it does not automatically extend the timeline for you. You have to provide frames for it to play into. So you just go insert timeline frame to just extend it. Whoops, I extended it too far. So let's go ahead and click here. Hold down shift, click there. Edit timeline, remove frames. Just that simple. Now before you do anything else, there you see our waveform there. You get to drag it.
Anyone remember how
which is being able to scrub on the timeline is really going to come in handy when you're animating. Let's go ahead and click on our waveform, and you should definitely look here in the properties panel. Make sure it's set to stream. We don't want it set to event. Event is only for interactive. We're not doing interactive. It's set to stream. Everything else checks out. All the other settings are great. So now that our properly sized file is set up with our sound, let's go ahead and save as. I'm going to just call this Prof P dialogue. That's Prof P for Professor Pilar. Hit save. And now we have a setup file, and let's see if it plays okay.
Does anyone remember how this thing works? Well, I don't, I think.
Okay, that looks good. Now let's say if you look at the waveform and you see how it starts about 24 frames in, what if I want it to start right away? Because if you press play, you're really just going to get like about 24 frames of me panting, which I don't want to hear.
Does anyone
So let's say I want to edit the sound and have it start sooner. So you just click right on the waveform, and let's go over here into the properties panel and look at that. There is a pencil. Animate CC has a pencil with an arrow next to it, but Animate CC 2020 rather. I'm running Animate CC. I'm still running 2018. I'm about to upgrade, but I'm waiting for 2020 to work its bugs out. Really, everybody should wait about a few months to work out the bugs before they upgrade to a new version. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this pencil, and it opens up a window, and you're going to see your waveform in there. You could even zoom out to see the whole thing. And you're going to see two of them. That's because my computer and Flash is thinking in terms of stereo. So let's go ahead and drag this little thing in the window here. And basically what this is doing is, see how it's gray back there now? You're dragging it so you don't start until the waveform gets big. You see the waveform that's corresponding. Every time the waveform gets big like that, those are syllables. You could even preview it.
Does anyone remember how this thing works? Well, I don't, I think.
And if you want, you could grab one of these little squares and kind of bring it down, so it's slightly softer.
Does anyone remember how this thing works?
Okay, I'm happy with that, so I'm going to click OK.
Does anyone remember how this thing works?
All right, I'm happy with that. Everything sounds good. The only other thing I think that you should remember to do is for when you export later, so it doesn't sound like you're underwater, go to File, Publish Settings, and I like to click on Audio Stream, go down to Speech, bring it all the way up to 44. And let's do that for Audio Event as well. Speech, 44. Hit OK and then save. What that does is when you export later, your sound isn't going to sound super compressed. It's going to be higher quality. And that's how you take an audio clip that you recorded yourself, convert to WAV, and import to the Adobe Animate timeline. Next, we're going to talk about blocking in your poses and starting to animate our dialogue. So see you soon.